there. Stephanie with Martelli Enterprises. Today I've got a special treat for you. I'm going to go over, for those of you that have not seen or not familiar with the Martelli long arm sit down system. This is more than just a machine. I want to go over this and review some of the products and uses of the entire system, really. So we're sitting here and we are doing our free motion quilting, right? Now, I don't know about you folks, but sometimes I get a neck or back, little twitch that makes me not able to quilt, or a pain, not able to work and do what I'm passionate about for as long as I would like to. So I'm here and I'm doing my quilting away. And you know what? I'm not quite finished, but my neck or my back is just giving in on me, and I've got to stand. Not a problem. I don't have to walk away from my project. I can, and if you're not sitting, you're going to want to sit down for this. I can take my remote and I can actually raise my table, or even just adjust the height of my table so that I now can stand. I don't have to sit because I've bought a table that I have to sit at. I have no choice. I can raise this table. It's got the electric lifts on it. I can raise it, and I can actually now raise it to my comfort level. Okay, I'm going to adjust because I've got the weight of the machine on here, so I'm going to adjust it so it's nice and straight. I can now, and this is probably, if it hasn't already, blown your mind just a tad. I can now stand and do my free motion. So I'm basically able to adjust my sit-down quilting machine to whatever I want, to whatever my body tells me it wants that day. I don't have to sit back and do something else because pain won't allow me to sit in free motion. I can adjust the table, I can adjust the machine to what my body tells me it wants that day. And I'd like to review some of the products, templates, and tools that come with the purchase of your long arm sit down. So we've got squares, 2.5 to 9.5, triangles, 2.5 to 9.5. These little guys here are circles, believe it or not. Circles, 2.5 to 9.5. The beauty of these three templates are, there's our laser cut for accuracy, and we've also included the seam allowance in them for you. So no more measure cut, forgot my seam allowance, throw that away. With the triangles and the squares, we also include the fussy cuts, okay? So we can make our fussy cuts, and we'll show you how to do that. Next, I've also got the fussy cuts for the triangles. You're also going to get the no-slip strip ruler. Show you how to use that. Our Martelli ergonomic cutter, as well as the 8 and 11-inch free motion gripper hoops. The mat, as you can see, is recessed into our table, so that will come with your machine as well. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at some of the tools. The first product that I want to go over with you is the Martelli cutting mat. This is a phenomenal mat. Everything I'm going to show you is phenomenal. This mat we've got yellow and purple for contrast. This is a very, very durable, flexible mat. I can take this and roll it up, put some pressure on it. I did this one time at a show and a lady said, "Stop, you're giving me heart palpitations." We know, typically if we did this to our mat, it's not going to go back flat. We're stuck with a mat and going to have to cut on a curve the rest of our cutting life. No longer with the Martelli mat. Another feature or benefit of the Martelli mat is that it is 100% accurate. We're used to cutting on mats that it's got measurements on it, but we can't use them because they're not accurate. When it comes to the Martelli mat, you can depend on those accurate measurements. So a 1/2 inch is a 1/2 inch. So the mat is wonderful. We've got our angles, 45-degree angle on here. Super easy to knock those bias strips out. Got the accuracy, we can go ahead and use that for the accuracy. The material that the mat is made out of doesn't allow for the blade to penetrate. It's actually kind of a combination of the material the mat's made out of and the design of our cutter, which we're going to get to next. The ergonomic design of our cutter, the design of this is in such that we're always going to cut to the side. We're used to having to cut here and have lots of pressure here because we've got to get through that fabric. Trust me when I tell you, our cutters, you do not have to use that way. We don't have to have that pressure. Remember, we're going to cut from the side. So the blade, when we use our cutter properly, the blade doesn't penetrate our mat, cutting little grooves out of that and then making a mess of our cutting surface. It'll always stay nice and new looking for you. From there, I want to move on to this white ruler that you've received. This is our no slip strip ruler, okay? We've got different measurements and arrows on here, and what is this business all about? No slip grip on the back. You've got cutting lines in here. And if we go to the various measurements that are up here, it points to the arrows where we're going to insert our blade to make the cut to get the accurate strip. So this is a phenomenal ruler for cutting our bias. We simply take our fabric. We're going to depend on the accuracy of our measurement because we can't see through this, but we can depend on the accuracy of the mat. So we take our fabric, lay that into place. I'm going to take my ruler, bend it down into place. Once I've got my fabric in place, it stays. That fabric's not moving. So if I had this on the 45-degree angle to make my bias cut on the, my binding on the bias, my beads got a little out of whack there for me, it would stay. I don't have to make my cut on an angle or walk around my table to make my cuts. I also don't have to have a death grip on my tools. We've got that no slip grip. So we're gonna make a 1-inch strip cut. I'm gonna make my blade go in these cuts here and these laser cut lines. I don't even need to use my hand to hold that ruler in place. You see the ruler shift, but when I take it off, I've got 100% accurate 1-inch strip. All right, let's go over some of the templates that you've received. I'm gonna go over your squares, your triangles, and your circles. Work with the cutter a little bit here too. I wanna go ahead and take this fabric and I'm gonna cut that in half. This is 2 layers, I'm cutting this, and now I'm going through 4 layers. So I've got 8 layers of fabric here. And the first product I wanna show you is the square. I've got a 2.5-inch square. The 2.5-inch square, no slip strip grip on the back, allows us to now spin our fabric without any of those layers shifting. We no longer have to have a deft grip on here and practically dislocate our shoulder to hold this and work around our products and make our cuts. We now simply take, and I'm just going to take 2 layers here so that we have more fabric to demo with. We take our fabric in our square. We don't have to walk around our table. We cut, turn, cut, turn, cut, turn. That leaves me with 100% accurate 2.5-inch blocks. Go ahead and lay that out on the mat for you. A little bit too much coffee today, got a little shaky fingers. But as you can see, look at that accuracy. And just with 2 layers, imagine what you could do with 6, 8, 10 layers. So we've got our triangle, 4.5-inch triangle. Let's go ahead and make a cut here, get some scraps. And we did 2 last time, let's do 4 layers this time. I've got my 4.5-inch triangle. This has my seam allowance already built in. I simply cut, turn, cut, turn, cut, turn. And I've got my triangle. One real unique feature I want to show you, let's say that we made that cut and it didn't quite go through. As long as we don't pull our fabric or yank that before we move our template, we can still come back and make that cut. But we did it perfect, and we have 100% accurate, perfect triangles each and every time, multiple layers. Last up, for the templates, we've got our circle. So let's get a nice square here. Cutting circles. Most quilters, if we could do a show of hands right now, have attempted to cut circles. Do not do them. Avoid at all costs cutting circles. They're a nightmare. How do we do them? We trace bowls, we trace plates, whatever we can find that's the perfect circumference. We trace them and then hand cut around them. Thanks, but no thanks. I'll take the Martelli way each and every day. So we take our fabric, a block, fold it into four, give it a nice little finger press, place that in the corner. Again, 4 layers, nothing's moving on me. Now I'm going to take this and go around the outside edge. Perfect example. Had a little mishap there. I didn't yank this fabric. I can take this, clean that cut up, and I want you to see, even with a hiccup, 100% accurate circle. Plus, I have the applique. So imagine now what you can do with all of those circles. Remember, your seam allowance on these tools I've shown you are already built in, so you don't have to worry about doing that. I want to show you next up the fussy cut frames. We're going to imagine that this is a printed fabric that it's got an image on it, a flower, a saying, what have you, or a picture that we want to frame up and have in the center of our block. Each square and each triangle come with a fussy cut. Circles make their own fussy cuts. That's the applique that we showed earlier. So the fussy cuts don't have the no slip grip on the back. We can slide those around. So we would go ahead and maneuver this around, frame up the image that we want. So that's the exact center of our block that we want on our square. This is a 2.5 inch fussy. I pop in my coordinating 2.5 inch block, and now I'm ready to make my cuts. That framed up image stays in place. We're gonna go ahead and take the triangle, same principle applies, frame that up, 2.5 inch fussy, pop that triangle into place, remove the fussy cut window, we're ready to make our cut. I've saved the best for last, the free motion gripper hoop. This is one of my favorite Martelli tools. I really love and appreciate all of the other tools, everything that Martelli creates. They've really made a difference in my quilting, piecing and quilting, but these are truly a phenomenal product. The innovation behind everything is just mind-blowing. The gripper hoops, we've got the Martelli patented no-slip grip on the back. We've got the presser foot notch cut out where this will slide under our presser foot, and then our knobs to steer around with. Go ahead and pop that down into place. And I'm just going to bunch this fabric up just a little bit. Envision we've got a large quilt up here that we're working with. So I'm ready to quilt. I'm going to go ahead and pop my fabric loose or nice and tight around the outside, and I'm able to pick up and move and quilt, 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 pick up and move, quilt, 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 pick up and move, quilt, quilt, quilt. And as you can see, nothing is shifting on me, and the areas within my hoop are staying nice and taut. They act as an embroidery hoop without having to do the top and bottom. So these are a phenomenal product for pushing your quilts. You'll want to use these with your sit-down machine. Saves a lot of pressure on the neck and back. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this tutorial useful, and happy quilting.